Hi, it's Drew, and today I want to go over on how I became overweight and why I decided to start losing body fat, what I am doing to lose said body fat. Let's begin. Alright, number one was alcoholism. That was a big one for me only because I struggle with addiction. I was alcoholic for a few years, and by doing so, because beer has a lot of calories in it, a lot of sugars, I hit probably 210 to 220 pounds, which wouldn't be that big of a deal if I wasn't 5'9". So I was basically a balloon with man titties. And just by stopping my drinking, I think I lost roughly around 20-ish pounds without changing any other part of my diet. Alright, number two was getting sick. I'm not going to go into much detail with this one, only because there is a lot to explain. Anyways, I got really sick, completely lost my appetite. Not even stomach pains, growls, I would get absolutely none of it. The only reason why I did eat is because I forced myself to. I had to choose time throughout the day to eat. I normally did not eat as much as I needed, but every time I ate, I would feel worse. Just doing that, the unhealthy weight loss was probably 10 to 15 pounds or so. I drank a lot of water during this time, so I know it wasn't just water weight. After I started to feel better, I returned to my post-alcoholic body weight, which is probably around 185 pounds, which is still considered obese for a man of my size and age. So there I was, obese, just feeling crappy. Just every time walking up the stairs, heavy breathing, all that. And probably the worst symptom I had of all this was depression. I've always dealt with depression, but with increased weight, I felt like it got worse, at least for me. Now, what did I do to change that aspect of my life? Motherfucker, I'll tell you. My third one, working out. So this is how I started off my journey into fat loss. I was suspected of having low testosterone, and what my doctor told me is if I exercise my large diameter muscles, so your legs are a good example of that, that would bring up testosterone. I'm no medical professional, but from my understanding is working out these types of muscles will increase your testosterone levels, at least for obviously men. From what I was told, fat on men tends to produce more estrogen, which estrogen is considered a hormone bully, so it kind of takes over. But anyways, obviously with exercise, it releases endorphins, which helps depression, which is my main focus for going to the gym. I'm really sick of being depressed, like all the time. For the first 2 months, I worked out 5 to 6 times a week, 1 to 2 hours, depending on what I was working. I worked 12-hour shifts, but I don't work consecutively throughout the week. So days I worked for an hour. Days I had off, I worked out for 2 hours. I gotta say that after each time I worked out, I would feel better for a couple hours. Like it was like kind of like a pill. Like when you take a pill and then you don't really feel the effects right away, and then after a half hour or so, then you start like your headache goes away. Well, it felt like that for me with the depression. And after 2 months of doing this, it wasn't just a couple hours afterwards. Throughout my days, my mood really has started to level out. And honestly, that's the best part about it. Like, the best part about working out, getting your mood figured out, helping your mental health out. Don't get me wrong, I have my days where I'm depressed. I've dealt with that my entire life. I also am irritable. I am still personally working on myself, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. Number 4, dieting. I know people hate this word because I hate this word. Nothing about dieting has ever struck me as fun. Like, none of it. But damn it, it's the only way you can lose weight. There is no magic pill. Having a deficit in your calories makes you lose weight. Having a surplus makes you gain weight. Like I said before, when I first started this, I had no plans of losing fat. I just wanted to deal with my depression and try to get better. However, at the time of me getting a gym membership and starting to work out, there was 2 competitions. One was at my gym. It was you did challenges. Each challenge you put a mark on the chalkboard. Each mark you got put into for a drawing. Second was from the local supplement shop, nutrition shop, whatever you want to call it. And that one was they're looking for the person who could gain the most weight or lose the most body fat in percent. I decided to join both of those. Both competitions started at the same time. They did a collaboration. So they both started at the same time. They were for a 2-month period. And honestly, I wasn't sure on the second competition. I wasn't sure if I was going to go for the most muscle gained or for the most fat loss. By the second half of the second month, which does not give me a lot of time, I decided to go with the fat loss. And I ended up winning that one. I won a mess of prizes, which was fun. It was a lot of motivation. During that time, I lost, I think that one was 2.9%. I do have my documents for that. How did I do this? How did I lose body fat? Alright, I'll first start off by saying that I did not count calories right away. I didn't want to, because that sounds really boring. But what I did is, I already have food sensitivity, so there's certain foods I just cannot have. I tend to have my meals in mind, so I kinda eat the same things every day. I'll switch out some every now and then, but so what I did, I looked at my plate and I decided that I was going to take 20 to 30% out just to start to get used to it. For example, I used to have for breakfast 2 sausage patties, 2 hash browns, and then 2 eggs. Well, I took out a sausage patty and a hash brown. That's how I started off. I did that with every meal. After my body got used to that, which it takes a little while, but I was feeling good. I was feeling motivated to do this. You do get used to it. I really wanted to maximize my loss just to see if I could even place in this competition, because at the time I was thinking there was no way I was gonna place in this. Like, I started way too late on this. It's just not gonna happen. What I did is I did some research, found a formula. Formula's simple. It's your body weight times 10, 11, or 12. 12 if you're really active, 10 if you're not so active. I ended up doing 11. I felt like I was in between there. I figured that out. I couldn't tell you how much it was now. I think around 1,800 calories a day. What you do is you take that number, start on those calories. You weigh yourself every day in the morning before you drink anything, before you eat anything. Throughout the week, you take an average of your weight. That one's gonna be way more accurate. What I do is every Tuesday in the morning before I eat, before I drink, I weigh myself, and then that will give me my loss or increase of weight for each week. If you want to lose, say, around a pound, you would start with your calculation, do your weights for 3-4 weeks, and see how much you're losing. If you're losing like 3 pounds, well, increase your calories. What I did is I went through this and I was increasing and decreasing and trying to get it right. Every time I was in a calorie deficit. I needed a way to count my calories for one, and for two, I needed to be able to record, to track my calories. So that simple solution, went to Walmart, I think it was 12 to 15 bucks, bought a food scale. It's nothing fancy, it works. And then I downloaded an app on my phone to count my calories. How did I know that I was losing body fat and not just eating away at muscle? So how did I know? Well, for me, fortunately enough, which I'm sure is not a common place, there's a place in town that has a machine. I'm sure they're not super accurate, but that gives you an idea that measures not only your body weight, but your muscle density, your fat, even your water in your body. I have been going there at the end of every month and doing it. And honestly, I haven't been doing this. Like I'm on my 4th month right now. And I went from 183 pounds, I'm down to 160 right now. If you're dedicated, you hop on this, you can do this. Like, it's hard. But by God, when you start seeing yourself lose weight and you're feeling better, your motivation goes up. It's awesome. Now I think we're going to go over these sheets and I will show what I personally lost and what it says. Alright, so looking at the sheet, starting from top to bottom. Top is what is weighing you down, essentially. The second one is your muscle mass or your fat mass. Third one down is going to be your BMI and your fat percent. What I am going to be looking at, though, is the bottom, the history. And particularly, I am going to be looking at the bottom 2. So starting on my first sheet here, it is showing that I had 76.3 pounds of muscle, and then my body fat percentage was 26.2. So moving on to the second one, you can see it changed a little because you can still see what I had in the first one. But now we have the second one. You can see that my muscle mass went up while my body fat percent was going down, which is what I was focusing on. That one dropped by 2.9%. And then moving on to the third one, we are looking at a 77.6 pounds of muscle. So that was like 1.1 pounds I gained that month. And my body fat percent went down to 18.9, which was a 4.4% decrease. In total, since I started, I've lost 7.3% of my total body fat, which is fantastic. I have 3 before pictures I'll be looking at. First one kind of shows my face and the chunk that I have on my neck and just all over in general. Next one kind of is an over body view. Even in a sweatshirt, you can still see that I was a much bigger person. Third one really shows off the gut that I have, or had. As you can see in this first picture, I have a lot less fat on my face. Overall body is obviously less, and my gut is significantly smaller, and that's just from 7%. My overall experience is what happened. All right, so number one, I had a problem that I had a solution for. Number two, I have goals that I push for. For example, right now I'm trying to get down to 15% body fat. Last time I weighed myself, which I'm sure you've seen on the sheet, I was at 18.9, like I am close, and it feels good. So once I hit that goal, I'm going to need another goal. I'm going to go into a surplus, and I'm going to try to gain as much muscle as I can. The problem with not being professional in this is I don't know what's an appropriate goal. So I'm going to shoot for a pound. I also track my fat percent. I don't really want to go back over 18. As I'm tracking, once I hit 18, it's like, okay, no matter what, I'm going to switch my goal, go back down to 15% body fat. Maybe less, depending on what I feel. Third, which I did not start out doing right away when I did this, was tracking my progress. So obviously your calories, take pictures, record your weight, like all of that you can look back on. So when you're feeling down, that it's not working, you look back on your pictures. You look back on your weight and what you were at and where you're at now. Keep going. You got this. In total, I went from, at my heaviest, 210, 220. I'm down to 160. It takes a bit of dedication and a bit of motivation. But once you start seeing progress, you get more motivation. At least for me, that's how it was. I know this video was more kind of overview. I feel like I could go deeper into a lot of these subjects. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and God bless.